those Prada?
Prada.
Wouldn't expect any less. Like honestly, like the classic Digital Jeff entrance is so stylish. Like you're one of the most stylish dudes I know. I'm gonna be straight up.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So it's no surprise that your brand has been blowing up lately. Um, Brief backstory: like we go back, we met 2016. You were leading our media team, working with Gerard,
Yeah.
and you and Gerard started this series called Leaders Create Leaders. And so we pretty much traveled around interviewing people, and you guys really showed the ropes to me and Truman. And so we're not going to dive too much into our backstory. We have another interview that we did with Jeff on the Conversations with Humans podcast. But today we're going to be talking about the past couple of months in your journey and touching on topics of AI and personal branding and being a creator. So, first initial question I wanted to ask you is what where did the name Digital Jeff originally start?
That's a great question, man. I actually have been the go-to anything digital for like the last 25 years of my life. You know, back in high school, I was the first developer in my city. Like I was 15 years old and I learned how to code in HTML. So like anybody that needed a website in my city, it's a small town. So I was like the go-to guy. So I was dealing with all these like business people in my town, you know, that had like restaurants and banks and stuff like that. I was building their websites, and then you know, obviously like filmmaking has always been part of me. So working with computers, you know, I'm talking about early 2000s, bro. I'm trying to like I'm literally aging myself here, but digital was like the name I was going by for such a long time. And when social media kind of became a username type of thing, I remember getting my first username Digital Jeff on Tumblr back in the days. So I got my Tumblr account, and then
Okay.
I just kind of kept with it. I had a company agency called Digital Republic, which was like kind of like where I kind of like really was able to take off and do this like full time, not necessarily having to depend on like an 8 to 5 job. And yeah, it just became like second nature. Like Digital Jeff was always like what everybody knew me by. I don't know, it was so organic. I can't even.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
It's
no
like
like one
so
moment. It
fitting.
was just yeah.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to dive into like personal branding. Like, what is a personal brand to you? Like, what would you say that means to you?
Personal brand today, what it means today is like it's actually a media company. That's what it is. You are a media company. A personal brand is like that's like the traditional way saying it nowadays. The way I like to perceive it is like if you're not building a media company with the face in front of it, you're gonna be missing out on the actual opportunity. So if you can think about like what is it that you really want to, what's the message you want to send out, and what's the I want to call it the agenda. The way media companies like you know there's always an agenda
Right.
behind like Fox News or a media an agenda behind like CNN or whatever. What's your agenda? Like what is it that you really want to get out to the world? And you can do it through a personal brand, all right? But you got to envision it like as a media company. How can I create or and distribute content at scale with this agenda in mind? And that's what a personal brand
Right.
is.
I love that. What would you say that like your agenda is if we're following along those lines? Because there's people that like their personal brand, like their agenda may be that they want to drive leads to their business or that they want to get a lot of brand deals with Fortune 500 companies or even someone like Mr. Beast, where he wants to get a lot of views and traffic and attention and then start his own companies underneath this kind of like umbrella thing. Um, where like what's your take on like what's your goal with your personal brand?
So there's like the macro view of it, and then there's a micro view on it, and there's like the day to day kind of like operations that need to happen. But like the big vision is transcendence into like everlasting impact. So right now we have an opportunity to leave behind, very similar like the way Jesus left behind like the Bible. We have the opportunity to leave a book, our book, and how that impacts in a positive way for future generations, and in the moment too. It's happening in the moment, but like you're just think about it like this: like there's people that have like 1,000 followers right now, and they're when they die, they're only gonna have 1,000 followers, but they might have created some amazing like a catalog of content that one day in the future, like 20 years from today, that those 1,000 followers all of a sudden will become 1 million, even when this person has already passed away, because he left a catalog that was so powerful. It just didn't have
Mm.
it didn't have the eyeballs on it at the moment, or it didn't connect at the moment. So for me, the big vision is that like I'm gonna leave a catalog behind. God willing, I'll be able to leave a catalog behind where even like my great ancestors will be able to tap into who I was as a person, and be able to understand the messages that I want to instill in them, being able to have a life of fulfillment, happiness, excitement, and just being present, man, at the end of the day. But yeah, that's kind of like the macro vision, like big vision, like, and obviously there's the business side of it, which is freeing people from the 9 to 5 and allowing them to tap back into their light, something that they enjoy doing. And in the short term, like that's kind of like the foundation of me. Like I call myself like Morpheus finding Neo, right? Like I always tap into like I'm Morpheus finding Neo. I'm just trying to free people out of the matrix. And this 9 to 5, it sounds almost like we're putting down like the 9 to 5 thing. Like I don't like saying it like that, because there's a lot of people that are happy in their 9 to 5s. I'm referring to the people that are not happy and that are struggling. But I'm also referring to the people that love their 9 to 5, but they're struggling financially, where now the wife has to go work also, or both, and then the kids are at home raising themselves up, and that's no way to raise a child. I read a quote today. It said, "I am the man I am because of my father," right? But yet,
Mm.
if you think about it, that's a very powerful quote. I'm like, one of my clients said this to me: "I am the man I am because of my father." But yet, a big percentage of kids grow up without their father. I think all three of us were fortunate to being raised in a family where we have the father that we can lean on, but also the mother, right? And this generation, even when both parents are at home together, non-divorce, right? You're talking about a traditional family. They're both at work because they can't afford their lifestyle, they're living, and that's just the way it is, man. That's the truth that we're living in. So sometimes, for me, if I can help somebody that has 9 to 5, that's happy in their 9 to 5, if I can help them make an extra 1,000 to 2,000 a month by them working an extra weekend, that right there sets the tone for the way they live their life, the way they raise their kids, and that's powerful, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what you said about your vision for your brand, it explains why your content is so great, because you're like it like totally makes sense, with that perspective of, your ancestors could be seeing this. This is what you're leaving behind. And I absolutely agree about what you said about fathers. And that's one of the things that like I respect about you so much is you're such a great father. And we've spent some time with your family, and even
Thank you,
meeting
brother.
your dad, who is like such a nice and a great person from the time that we were able to spend with them. And so like I feel like your brand is something that the internet really needs. And same with your
Thank you.
message of like be the light, that was something that you've always
Be the
said
light.
that really resonated with me. I remember when you got that tattoo, I got this tattoo on the same day. Truman got We all got tattoos. And that's such a powerful message of being the light for the content that you create and the messages that you put out there. So I'm curious of about a year ago, when you would look at your brand, you were very focused on building other people's brands, like
Correct.
working with Gerard, working with Colin, working with Roberto. And then within the past couple of months, and even during that time, you still had your own personal brand and content, but it wasn't like your primary focus. And
Correct.
now your brand is totally shifted where you're prioritizing your personal content. And so I'm curious of what inspired that shift.
It was an internal declaration. I felt that I was in a position of I needed to be in order for me to have the most impact was not necessarily to serve other leaders, which I'm still serving to a certain extent through other forms, but it was to serve the truth of who I am through what I create and what are like when I receive a download. Why am I not getting it out? Why am I keeping it here?
Mm,
And in order for me to remove the bottleneck of a download becoming a form of a like piece of content or whatever that is, a message to impact people and help people, I'm having to convince the people I'm supporting to use this download for their content, and
mm,
sometimes it doesn't resonate with them. Sometimes they're like, "What are you talking about, Jeff? You're not all like, are you crazy?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm borderline crazy, bro. That's why you gotta listen to me. But
yeah.
but yeah, so
Name one genius that ain't crazy.
exactly.
The Kanye
So
bar.
the Kanye bar, yeah. So for me, it was like, why am I not getting these thoughts out? And God's given me all these gifts, bro. Like God gave me the gift of being able to be like a filmmaker, web developer. I know how to build like apps. I pretty much know how to do
Storyteller.
storyteller. Like I got all the skills, but yet I'm putting myself second. And I'm not complaining about that by any means. It was a natural, organic process for me to like discover this version of myself that I'm now putting myself out. And I had to tell myself, I had to declare it. I had to tell myself, this day moving forward, you're gonna put yourself first. And it's not because of an ego, it's because you're getting downloads that you're keeping to yourself. And that's not right. You're giving these messages for a reason.
Right.
So
And
that
I
was
also
it.
think that the like it's not a selfish thing at all, because the more that you understand, I mean, like tactically speaking, the more that you understand how to grow your personal brand or your digital media presence, like the more that you can educate someone else on how to do that. And so like you stepping up is allowing you to pull other people up with you. But
Correct.
if you're never able to do that for yourself, because that's something that we've experienced like this past 6 months or a year of us diving in more of our personal brand. It's like we're now, whereas before, like when we were helping other people do it, we saw like one side of the story, you know, but now in going through it ourselves, we have a fuller picture of what it takes to do something like this, where we can now like educate our clients on like how to do it, but also speak
Correct.
from their point of view, being like the host or the speaker, the influencer, whatever you want to call it. We now have like a fuller, well-rounded story of how to do that thing. And so like diving into growing your own personal brand helps you, but it also helps all of the other people that you serve.
Amen to that. That's really the power behind it. Like when you're doing it in the trenches every day, you can relate insight in a more powerful way, because now that people, like a lot of my clients that were resistant on what I was telling them to do, now like a month later, now they're like, yes, I'm gonna do that. It's working for you.
Yeah.
It's gonna work for me. And then now they see it. So it's like leading from the front and being the guinea pig for these concepts and these ways to break through. Um, so yeah, man, totally agree with you, 100% there.
Yeah,
So
something else that I want to like say too is it if you were to just come across your page over the last month, people might say, "Oh, it like overnight success." Like you had that cheat codes video pop off, but people that know you know that you've been grinding in the trenches for decades, not
Decades. Yeah.
overnight. And
Yeah.
so like how would you like what sort of tip would you give to someone that's starting their personal brand today to set up the right expectations? Because I think a lot of people expect that overnight success, but they don't understand what really goes into it.
Yeah, man, it's showing up every day. I think showing up every day is it's the only common denominator with everybody that's made it. Like they showed up every day.
Mm,
Eventually, they took off. But like you see a lot of people give up right before the sunrise, and
yeah.
it's very sad. Like I've seen creators that have it all. I'm like, this guy's about to like I get excited when I discover a creator that's got like 600 followers or 300 followers, like nobody's heard of, and I'm just like hyping them up in the DMs, like, bro, keep going, like, dude, that last video, like, I know I only got 12 views, but it was so fucking good. Trust me when I tell you this. If you just keep doing this, it's gonna take off, and then you just see him like get discouraged because they don't get the attention that they deserve, um, or that they're gonna get eventually. Because there's some people that have actually done it overnight. There is some
Yeah.
case studies, like you look at like Jake Paul. In 6 months he had over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. There's when you look at these creators, it creates a false reality of like what it really takes to become one. But like for me, like I don't want to. I want to make sure it comes out clear. Um, I've done it for 21 years, right? And it's been. I feel the same way today than the way I felt when I was 7, 8 years old creating a short film with my brothers. I feel the same way today. When I wake up and create content, I have the same feeling. It hasn't changed, and I think because of that, it's giving me the opportunity to show up every day. I've never not felt like not doing it because I don't have the followers or I don't have the likes or I don't have the money coming in. I've always just enjoyed doing it, and yeah, I went from behind the camera to in front of the camera, but it feels
Yeah.
exactly the same way. There's no difference. And one thing I'll tell you guys, for people that know who Joe Rogan is, if you see his first like 20, 30, 40 episodes, they're like kind of like this, but like you know gangster style, like a webcam, audio sucks, and they're just talking shit for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
And that natural, like just him enjoying like the day to day of running a podcast when podcasts were in podcasts, nobody's watching him,
Yeah.
is what really made Joe Rogan who he is. Like
Right.
that foundation of him just enjoying it and putting in the reps. And it's not even the reps. It's just him like, hey, dude, let's jump on the podcast and just talk about it. Let's talk about like, I don't know, gypsies and I don't know,
I
shit like
think
that.
I th- I think that like to your point of like you've been doing it for so long, I think that it's like you obviously love it. You were doing this long before you were getting views and followers, and I think that that's a reason why you're succeeding. And similar to Joe Rogan, like he was doing that with his buddies in like a basement or wherever they were doing it when no one was watching. They were just doing it for fun. And I think like the opposite side of that is like a lot of people these days, like obviously like growing your personal brand and social media is hot right now. People want to do whatever the thing is that's hot, and but that often leads a lot of people to for like doing it for the wrong reasons, like
Correct.
wanting to get quick fame or like trying to sell something. Like I wanted to like grow on social media and YouTube when I was like 21, but I'm like so thankful that I didn't make it at that point, because like now being almost 30, I have something to say. Whereas when I was 21, I didn't even have any experience in the real world. I didn't have any opinions of my own. I didn't have any thoughts of like philosophy or value to add. And like, I think that a lot of people, they just need to live a little bit before they start like trying to blow up on social media and and if they're not doing it for the love of creating content and like the love of like whatever it is that they do, like I think that it's just a short-term strategy that's eventually going to burn out.
Correct. Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think a lot of the powerful brands are men, or say like not necessarily men, women, but like people that have already matured into who they are, and they're comfortable in their own skin, and they don't care about like I've gotten like so many hate comments in the last few months, I think it's funny that people like get so
Yeah.
triggered like over something so basic. But um maybe when I was younger in my 20s, I would have probably taken it personal, and I might have been like hurt by it, or it might have not let me go to sleep or something. I don't know, but I I um, I really feel like some of the most powerful brands right now or moving forward. If I had to put my a thesis on how to actually like create great impact, is like wait till you're close to like your 30s and then start your mission, go on your mission. And if you think about it, it's going back to the story of Jesus. Like he was 33 uh, when he was crucified, and you look at all the stories that were created. It was when he became a man, is when all these stories were created, and he went on this mission. So have patience, and
Yeah.
it's also good to have fun when you're young and posting content and stuff like that. Like my son Jordan, like he's really good about like knowing like what's gonna hit, and he'll be able to get viral videos. It's almost like like he can call it. It's the weirdest thing.
Mm.
And but he doesn't like care about it. He got like 40,000. He got 10 or 12,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel like in 14 days, and I'm
Wow.
like, this kid's got more YouTube subscribers than me. Like he posted like 3 videos. How is this? But he doesn't
Yeah.
like he's just having fun with it. So I think there's something there that we haven't figured out yet. You got to remember, like all these platforms are still new. Like we seem like YouTube was like, it seems like a dinosaur app, but it's only like been in existence what, like 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
like so it's still, we still don't know like the actual, there's obviously a lot of studies and uh of how we can use this as like a lifestyle versus using it versus posting, being a creator versus being somebody that scrolls
Yeah.
or a consumer. Like there's so many things to learn about what's happening right now, and it's a very interesting time to be alive because we're technically the guinea pigs, man. After the iPhone
Yeah.
came out in 2007, I feel like every day is just, we're just guinea pigs. We're just testing out what is, how much can we push the human brain until we fucking lose it all, like we go crazy. And I've heard stories of like um, founders in Silicon Valley don't even allow their kids to see a phone for like the first 7 years of their life. Like they don't even know that phones exist to that extent.
Wow.
So
I
yeah. So we're, yeah. Go for it.
I love the guinea pig example because like part of my creator mindset that I've been changing over the past couple months is looking at my brand like a scientist. And part of that is I realized I was making a lot of assumptions and those assumptions weren't true. Like one of my assumptions was, oh, because I don't use Facebook, Facebook isn't a platform worth posting on. But
Hmm.
then I realized that I had no evidence to back that up and that there actually are lots of people on Facebook. And so when I tested that assumption, now Facebook is where I have the most results. Out of
Oh
every
wow.
platform, I get the most views on Facebook. So my question for you on that is like, were there any assumptions that you had that turned out to not be true once you started to test it and be the guinea pig?
Well, for me, the biggest one was that it was, and this is, I'm talking about a few years back. I almost felt that it was impossible to grow on Instagram at a certain point.
Mm,
So I stopped caring about Instagram. I started looking at other platforms, but the funny part about it is that I spend the most time on Instagram.
yeah.
If it's not,
Mm.
it's like I spend more time, like my whole network's on Instagram, and it wasn't because I had a lot of followers or I was posting this, because my network was there. It was my community. Like you guys were on there, like everybody that I talked to, like from close friends all the way to like business partners, and the entire network was on Instagram. But I really didn't see it as a platform where you can actually build a meet a company around anymore. I felt like those days were over. So that was a big assumption that I myself had to go out and prove wrong. But I did see an opportunity about a year ago, and I had a friend of mine hit me up, and he was like, "Hey man, I have a I have a community of 40 influencers um, that I host one call with them once a month, and I would love to have you as a special guest to talk to them about content, like how to create content and all this." And right before, like a week before the call, I started studying Instagram the same way you said, like as a scientist. I started studying like the way some brands are growing, so the way brands are not growing. I started dissecting it, and I saw two things that really stood out. There was one thing is like distribution had changed dramatically, in the sense that like when you post a video or a photo, prior 2020, the only reach you'll get is if somebody shares it on their story, right? So that's like, so one post becomes two posts, and that could reach millions of people if like million people share it. But if like only 3 or 4 people share it, you've that one post became four, right? So the first one I noticed is like there was I ran into this account of this guy that had like one video had been remixed like 25,000 times, something like that. So one piece of content became 25,000 pieces of content instantly. That was like it was unheard of like in 2020, prior to 2020. So that was the first discovery. The second discovery was like there's a lot of viral videos that have like 20, 30 million views, but you go to the account and it has no followers, like 300 followers, 1,000 followers. So there was like this sense of like, it doesn't matter how many followers you have anymore. It's about how good your content is, how good your content can become, or how good your content is. So that was like a huge enlightenment that I had. Like it was like a little spark to my creativity, because like I'm the king of making great content. So and now favors guys like me that are storytellers, that are like actually like the craft, to blow up, versus like the guy that poses in the car that gets a million views, or the girl that shows off the booty and gets a million views. And that content no longer works. And if this new that one presentation allowed me to, like, because I had to prepare for it, allowed me to see Instagram in a different light. And I was like, okay, I want to do this now. So it just became a natural trajectory of me getting there, to actually me becoming my own main investment.
You talked for a second about like guys posing in front of cars, girls showing their ass and stuff. And I feel like that reminds me of like 2015, 2016, that era of like content production. And of course, it's still happening now. But my question is around like, what are the differences? Because that was a year, like what Mike said at the beginning, where we all kind of started working on personal brands together. The
Mm-hmm.
first one being Gerard Adams, and I'm curious, like what worked back in 2016 that doesn't work now. Like how has growing a personal brand and attracting attention and an audience, how has that changed over? I mean, 2016 feels like it wasn't that far away, but it also feels like a lifetime in terms of social media and the internet. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think the main thing that's happened is distribution has changed. Going back to the first thing I discovered is like the way distribution works nowadays. Um, you can you don't have to post like 4 times. I know Gary Vee says post 4 times a day in all the platforms. I'm like, no, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that, bro. So that doesn't work anymore. Posting 4 times a day actually dilutes your brand, because now instead of you having like an hour of focus on one piece of content, let's say you have an hour a day to create content. Some of you guys have all day, but if you only have, let's say you have 1 hour a day, if you focus on creating 4 pieces of content, you just split how good each of those could be. So why don't you split up? Why don't you focus on creating one piece of content, finish it, post it, and allow people to reshare it, remix it, create new, use your audio, like allow people to use it, because it was so well thought and you put so much power behind it that you were able to break through, versus posting four of those that are like half-assed just to get it out. And I think like once people realize how powerful that is, you're gonna know how, it's not that it's easy, because it's never gonna be easy, but it's gonna be a lot easier for you to understand. Is like, if you post one video a week that's super fucking well put together, I can guarantee you that's gonna give you more results than if you post 28 times that week.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so true. Because something that, like, I'm a believer in is that you're gonna get the growth that you deserve. And each time you put a video out there is an opportunity to either build trust with someone and impress them and say, yo, Digital Jeff is so dope. Or to break that trust and say, what is this lazy piece of lukewarm video, And
Exactly.
like, your videos are a perfect example of like, you put in so much work and skill to deserve those views. Like I look at your cheat codes video and I'm like not surprised that it got 10 million views because the idea is
24 million.
groundbreaking. 24 million now. That's
Yeah.
insane. It just
That's just on Instagram. I think on Facebook it has like another 8 or 10 million.
wow.
Dude, I've been checking in on your snack prompt. You go to the website on snackprompt.com and you're always the first one there. And every time I check that page, it's like 10,000 more people have used it.
Crazy, bro. It's crazy.
So with
Yeah.
the cheat codes idea specifically, was this an idea that you had and you were like, oh, yo, this is going to pop? Or were you just ripping ideas and then it blew up and you're like, oh, whoa, I did not expect to become the cheat codes guy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't expect to blow, like, I didn't expect even 500,000 views, but I knew it was going to perform well because I gave a presentation. Dude, it's weird. Like, this is the way I knew it was going to work. I did a presentation to a group of like 40 creators that wanted to learn about AI. And that same video, I did it like in an hour-long presentation, right? So their reactions and how they were just mind blown, and the messages I got back, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like people, even because when you're so deep into something, it's so hard to realize like how it's almost like magic because it's foreign to other people. But if you present it in a way where it's like, I'm almost like putting it in, I'm creating an example that everybody can relate to. Anybody can relate to the way I positioned it. Everybody can relate to. So I knew that I was going to take off. And then I had a second conversation with a friend of mine, and he told me, "Yo, Jeff, I just saw what you were talking about, the ChatGPT thing. You had told me like the last time we hung out, you told me about ChatGPT, and I couldn't understand what you were saying." She's like, "But I saw it on ABC News, and they were talking about how it's going to help doctors and this and that." And I was like, "Okay, I need to start talking to the everyday Instagram user, not the techie guy, not the 1% people anymore." So I went on you know how like there's all these AI influencers. I went into the space with not doing any of the content that they were doing. I was doing it because they were doing it for the other 1% of users in the AI space, the people that are experts at it. I don't want to talk to experts because one, I was not an expert. I mean, like I knew my shit, but I was not an expert. I didn't want to be talking about the technical jargon. I was showing people how to go from 0 to 1. And that was the key. Connecting people like at their level and bringing them along the ride has been the cheat. Like I think I'm at cheat codes 12 today. So, you know, so that's kind of like the way I thought about the series.
Wow.
I love what you said about making like the story be more relevant to the average person. It makes me think of this thing that Drake talked about, of like songwriting, of how like, you know, if he like in his experience of being Aubrey Graham, he has an ex named Jessica, for example, but he's not writing a song about you know, just left my ex girlfriend named Jessica, because no one else is gonna get like, unless your ex was also named Jessica, you feel like you relate to that.
Yeah.
And then like a step above that is saying like ex girlfriend, but that also excludes all of the girls out there, you know, like, and so if you just say my ex, then it's like, okay, everyone has an ex, you know, you just opened yourself up to a wider audience. And I think that that's like, I mean, if you look at all of like this top performing songs that artists have, they're usually like the pop songs that are like general about like, you know, friends, partying, whatever it is. You know, it's everyone can get down with that. And then like the deep cuts like that an artist does are the ones where they're maybe like talking specifically to their audience, you know? And I think that there's like, it's really smart to take that same strategy with creating content of like not just always talking to your audience, but creating those like singles and putting them out to the general population. So that it's almost like we talk about like top of funnel content. Like if you want to attract a lot of people into like your funnel, like make top of funnel content of keeping it very like shallow almost. Like don't lose people in the weeds. You know, that's when you make like the middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, where you're talking about your specific thing that you offer or whatever that thing is, but it's crucial to throw in those like singles every once in a while to like throw a wider net.
Amen. Yeah, that's actually like I actually learned something this year about that because I used to be hyper focused on when working with brands. I would always like niche them down to like talk to their avatar. But like for me like because I have kids that are already like they're almost, three of them are adults already, and then Jazzy's the only one that's 15 underage. But like I have a lot of like conversations with um like in person conversations every day that allowed me to understand that almost everybody in the world right now is to a certain extent in sync with what they love or what they like, and like everybody understands like meditation now. The majority of people understand fitness and health. The majority of people understand personal development. The majority of people understand like the Kardashians. Everybody understands, like it's like we have more commonalities now more than ever before. So in order for you to be a powerful personal brand, I'm starting to believe, and this is a new thesis that I'm thinking, is like you can't be the one guy that only does like how Gary used to say like be the B guy or be the cards guy or the wine guy. Like
Yeah.
you can do that, but you're gonna limit your opportunities if you do that. And
Mm,
instead be yourself. Like talk about what's exciting for you
yeah.
and whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be about that all the time. It could just be you are the common denominator in all your
Yeah.
videos. So I feel like I can talk about like because of what I've been doing. I feel like I can talk about anything right now. At this point, I can talk about shit, whatever I'm thinking about is what I'm gonna talk about.
I think
So
that's so true what you're saying because it even makes me think of like Joe Rogan. Like
Yeah.
when you think of Joe Rogan, it's not just he's only the MMA guy. It's he's also into comedy and philosophy and all these other topics that make Joe Rogan. And
yeah,
so like expressing yourself, it's almost like you want to like expose yourself online, like showing the different interests that you have, and it's like that unique combination is like something that only you have that
correct,
most other people don't. Like when I think about my brand and I combine all the weird things that make me me, I'm like that's my special sauce at the end of the day. Like
correct,
versus I could just be like any other um whatever guy talking about sports or whatever it is I'm talking about, but instead I'm trying to like balance out my content. Like something I've even noticed, like as I've made a couple like AI topic videos, and it's like in the comments it feels so polarizing. Like on one half I get a lot of people that are uh like, oh, AI is incredible, like it's gonna cure cancer and super optimistic. And then on the other side, I get people that are total AI haters who are like,
yeah,
it's not even smart. It's just plagiarizing the internet, blah, 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 whatever. But like, because of that, my AI videos on Facebook have kind of done the best because it's like creating conversation in the comments. Like, have you kind of noticed
yeah,
that with yours? Like a lot of uh, polarizing comments.
yeah, man. Actually like I've had a lot of haters. It's funny. It's funny thing that a lot of the haters came from people I expected hate from, which is the
Mm,
irony of it. Like the more woke people are the ones hating on it, and you would think otherwise. A lot of people are afraid of AI in general, but like,
yeah.
I had like one of Gerard's friend. His name is Brett Jones, Dr. Brett Jones. He's a chiropractor, and enlightened guy, woke guy, is into like the whole meditation thing, spirituality. I really don't know like to sort of. I've never actually hung out with him, but I've followed him for a while, and he like left me an ugly message, and I pinned the comment on top. I intentionally pinned the comment because it was such a nasty message. And when you click on this brand, I'm like, bro, how did that word come from? How did that come from you,
Right.
bro? Like it does not relate to your personal brand. And I thought it was just so funny. But yeah, man, I think polarization is actually a superpower that if you know how to use, and you're okay in your own skin, then you can use it to your advantage. But if you're struggling with any form of like mental health, or you just have like any sort of like something that's not like, you still don't feel comfortable, like if somebody leaves you a comment that's negative, and it makes you cringe, or it makes you feel some sort of way, I wouldn't invite you to do things that are polarizing, because there people can be mean, man, online.
Yeah, absolutely sinking their teeth in. Yeah, I had a video that was like a day in the life of an entrepreneur, like trying to tell my story more. And a guy just comments like, "Entrepreneur my ass." I'm like, "You don't know me, you know?" But
Yeah,
I'm like, "At least you're boosting my video." Um
yeah,
but on kind of a side note, I was curious about the world of NFTs has kind of been out of the conversation since AI has been coming out. Like, do you still have like faith in NFTs in the future, or are you still holding NFTs?
yeah. I have a whole collection of NFTs. I probably have like at least a couple of hundred NFTs. So,
So do you feel like this is
um,
just like a bump in the road?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, dude, everything comes in waves. Like I remember when I first bought crypto, it was $1.20 when I first bought Bitcoin, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and I was um I was the guy that was actually using Bitcoin to buy stuff like on Silk Road. Like I was ordering like
Mm.
Adderall, I was ordering Adderall, LSD, and stuff like that, like online, and that was the only way to buy it. But the crazy part about it is like, even at that time, I thought I was like, this technology is kind of weird. Like I don't really get it. I don't understand it. I had a whole conversation with one of my friends, Robert Lara. He's from Laredo, Texas. Also, he's like, Jeff, Bitcoin's the future. Like invest in it. And I was like, I was just buying it to like buy. Like I was buying Bitcoin to buy other stuff. But like my point is like, it comes in waves, and these waves need to happen because money needs to be put in so people can build and keep building on it. And so there's so much money in this in blockchain technology, that there's no way it could fail. Like this is only like when it comes back, it's gonna come back 100 times stronger.
Mm.
So y'all just got to be ready for it, man, because it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like was it about a year ago or so that whole Luma situation, was it Luma?
Luna.
Oh,
Luna,
Luna.
yeah, I lost a
Where
lot of money there.
what was it like having that happen to you and your recovery afterwards?
I'm still recovering.
uh,
Oh man, I hope you had. I kind of wish you hadn't mentioned it, because I still have like a scar in my back, a stab.
mm,
Nah, I mean, it's like anything, bro. Like it's like going through a breakup or something
Yeah.
like that.
mm,
Like,
yeah.
lost, I'll say like good 60% of my portfolio in one night.
Oh wow.
Man.
Yeah, and it was really hard because I was a public figure in the Web3 space. So in order for me to like kind of allow for that, it was so weird. Like I didn't feel it till like 3 months later. I didn't actually
Mm,
like when it happened, that when it was happening, it was kind of like whatever, like just keep on moving, do what you got to do. And yeah, I didn't actually feel it till like, like September, October of last year. This happened in April, and I didn't feel it till like October, whatever. And yeah, it was hard because at the end of the day, like I work hard for what I have. I'm not a, I don't come from a trust fund. I've never had an investor invest in me. I've never had like a loan. I've never actually taken out a loan. Like everything I have is like through hard work and then figuring out smart ways to invest that money. And yeah, so it was hard, but yeah, was that the question? What was the other question? Was there two questions?
yeah, I was just curious of like, did that like affect your perspective on the crypto space in general?
Nah,
Uh-uh. Yeah.
not at all. Like it's like it's happening, guys. Actually, it's actually more just the fact that it's like like Bitcoin's not at 64,000 anymore, that doesn't mean that it's not more powerful than it was yesterday. It's actually more powerful today than it ever has. And you're gonna see it like in these next like 2 to 3 years, how much impact it has in our daily lives. So I'm super bullish, bro. I'm
Yeah.
still buying ETH every week. I'll buy more ETH.
Is
Not
that your
financial advice.
favorite?
Yes, because I still feel it's. I feel like it's. Well, it's 'cause I don't like giving advice on crypto, bro. So, but yeah, I guess it's my favorite.
Yeah.
I want
That's what's
stay away from like the whole like shilling
Yeah.
coins or whatever. Like,
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
So on to AI now. You've obviously talked about AI quite a few times in your videos, like
Hmm.
a lot of the cheat codes videos. But how have you leveraged AI in your personal brand strategy, like on the back end of like, operationally? And how do you think that that's going to like play into the future of? I mean, I guess a bunch of different things. We can go kind of macro level of how you think it's going to play into like work, as like digital entrepreneurs, I would guess you could call like this kind of ecosystem that we're all kind of in. Like, how do you see AI being um, implemented or
Well,
leveraged?
I like to think of it like right now we're going through this age of being a creator where you have to like if you're a copywriter, you have to be a master at copywriting to be able to have a copywriting job. Or if you're a filmmaker, you have to be like a master at like producing and knowing what angles, cameras, lenses, and how to edit and all these technical things. But we're transitioning from being it's like the age of the creator. We're transitioning into the age of the director. And these AI tools in the next 5 years will allow you to direct what you want and no longer have to like you don't have to know how to edit a video anymore. You don't have to know how to write a script anymore. You just got to know what you want and how to communicate that message. Because directors, one of the things about directors that I've always lacked that like skill and I'm conscious about it. Sometimes I don't know how to communicate what I see. So then I have to go do it myself. You know what I mean? Like I have to go do the video myself so I can show people this is what I want you to create. This is what I want. This is what I need. So we're transitioning in that aspect. AI has the power, and because it's modal, where it cannot not only can it like it can listen, it can see now because of the cameras, right? And um, it's gonna allow us to create like the craziest things you can imagine. So, for example, like that one of the videos that went viral was about I spoke about how like you can create like a fitness plan. Oh, the intro was like AI has officially replaced your fitness trainer, and
Yeah.
your fitness trainer is gonna hate me for showing you this. And I showed people how you can create like an actual like a meal plan and a training program in one click. So I showed that, right, and people's comments were like, "Well, they can't fix your posture, and they can't call you at 6 a.m. to wake you up, and like they had all these like little things." And I was like, dude, if I had the time and energy to actually like respond to these people, I'd be like, you're actually wrong. I'm actually more sure that it's going to replace your fitness trainer because your phone can see you and AI will be able to tell if you're actually doing the right movement or not.
Mm.
It'll tell you, okay, you're doing it wrong, like arch your back more, whatever, or you didn't go all the way down, do one, like all these things. And then it can remind you all day, like, what did you eat? Take a picture, send it to me. Oh, you ate this. This is how many calories you ate today. Like, it's going to be able to do all these things that people are not like, and, and I'm not going to be talking about that to the mass audience because it's not going to connect with them right now. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
it's going back to the content thing. Like I know where it's headed, but I can't be having these arguments with people at such a low level where it's going to affect my workflow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
wanted to
yeah.
also ask a little bit about your Creator Decoded program. Like, when did you start that, and kind of what has? Can you maybe explain a little bit about what your mission is?
Yeah, so I started that about a year ago, and originally when Creative Dakota started, it was only with like private clients. It wasn't public facing, and started working with, one, like coaching one client at a time, and then slowly scaling that to like, I think we were like at 10 in December. So we're working with 10 different clients
Nice.
and just coaching them on their personal brands and trying to build like businesses behind personal brands. And these personal brands are referred to as media companies, not like, oh, I have an Instagram account. Oh yeah, but like, do you have a website where people can go to and like read more of what you're thinking
Mm,
about? So
yeah.
we started building these media companies, and the vision for that is simply like, we want to be able to have enough personal brands slash media companies that we ourselves have been able to grow into what they are, and be able to instill what our agendas are at the time. So that's like surface level, but
Yeah.
I mean, you guys kind of get where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool and like perfect with what you do because like your experience was always like so hands on. And so being able to do that with a batch of people, like 10 people, like it's going to be really cool to see the impact that that has long term.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, and we're kind of forming like this kind of like, it hasn't like officially happened yet, but it's in this trajectory. We're in the trajectory to like have like 100 different influencers, right? All under not necessarily like under the same umbrella. You won't be able to see it like in the forefront. Like people are not gonna say, "Oh, I'm part of Creator Decoded" or anything. It'll just be like, "Hey guys, this is what we're doing this week," and think about the power behind that. Like a new media company comes out, for example, Snack Prompt. I was able to onboard like 75,000 users in 1 week to a new
Oh,
company.
wow.
So
Yeah.
think about that at scale with like 50, 100 different influencers slash media companies, where now me personally, I have equity in each company, because part of Creative Decoded, when people sign up is it's a deal where we have equity in the company, but we provide the resources for them to grow. So then, you know, next time we have an opportunity, like a brand comes to us, we're like, oh, we have these 100 creators under Creative Decoded, that you can spread your message instantly.
Mm.
I love that. It reminds me of I don't know if you're familiar with this guy named Justin Welsh. He's a big creator on LinkedIn and Twitter. He doesn't do video content. He's more of a writer, but he has like I think like 1 million followers at this point, and he makes like a couple $1 million a year just off his. He calls it a one person business. So like he writes, creates content. He's like an ex like startup CEO guy, and like was responsible for like $50 million worth of revenue at this one company that he ran. But he
Wow.
transitioned out of that because he had like a big panic attack and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is too stressful. So he went the opposite way of I'm just going to have a one person business. I'm going to talk about what I know to an audience, and then I'm going to sell them products based upon what I talk about, you know? And
Correct.
he's making multiple $1 million a year. He has one other like VA that runs this with him. And
Wow.
it's insane. But what he talks about is like this idea of like, because, there's a bunch of, especially on Twitter, there's a lot of those guys that are like, uh, Sahil Bloom, I think is his name is. Like, there's a lot of these guys on Twitter that are just big guys that just write, and they have huge followings. They get tons of engagement. And he was talking about this idea of like, think of what would happen if we all just owned a piece of the pie of another company that we all started individually. I mean, we all
Correct.
started together, and we all just directed that traffic to that company. And like, I think that this it's made me think a lot deeper about like monetization in this world of like personal branding and like media companies on social media. Because I think like if we want to go early on like social media, it was always like um brand deals, sponsorships, someone else giving you your fish, metaphorically speaking. And
Correct.
like, then now it's like, I mean, even that's how it kind of was back in like 2016. Gerard was getting a lot of brand deals and stuff. He didn't really have a ton of internal products that he was selling. He was building founders, but it wasn't really like cash flowing, so to speak, at that point.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's people like Roberto, for example, where he's attracted a huge audience, and it's like he's putting out content under his like name, but he's directing all of that traffic to companies that he owns. And I
Correct.
think that that's such a genius way to do it, because it's kind of like uh, analogous to like this thing that like creators and artists experience of like, why are we doing this for someone else when we can do it for ourselves? You know,
Correct.
like why am I giving all of this creativity and art to this king or statesman or whatever it was in the past? Like, we now are at a place where we can do it for ourselves, and we can own the upside of that traffic in that attention, you know? And
Hmm.
like, I think that that's like kind of like the arc of where things are going, of like, if you can get the attention and then also direct it to something that you own that is valuable, like it's not like a shill, it's not like a terrible company, it's a great company that provides good products and services. You just have the whole thing right there. Like,
Correct.
why do you need a sponsorship? Why do you need a brand deal when you can just send that traffic to
Hmm.
your thing? It's kind of like what Mr. Beast does at a big level, like with Feastables and all of those other things that he has going on. It's like, why wouldn't you just build your own thing? You know?
That's the game, bro. That's the game. Like if somebody listens to this part of the podcast, like that's what you got to take in. Like build your media company slash personal brand, and then find something that you want to provide to give to the world, and use that to monetize. Because really the power that we have nowadays. Think about it like this: like me by myself, I was able to drive uh 75,000 new users to a company that I don't own, right? By the way, and I'll make this public. Like I actually was able to negotiate equity after the fact into the company because the founder was so thrilled of what I had done without him asking me anything. So he was able to
That's
like say,
amazing.
like, Jeff, I just love what you're doing, and I want to offer you some type of partnership. Like, well, the only thing I want is equity in the company. How can we make that happen? And he was able to we would have negotiated a good deal for me. So moving forward, starting next week, I'll have equity in the company. And part of my thesis for Creative Decoded last May was like build products around the media companies that we own. Whether I own 10% of the company or 100 or 50, it doesn't matter as long as the product is great and there's a good fit. Then that's the way to do it. The great unlock.
That is
Wow.
awesome. That is so
Yeah.
cool to hear because Snack Prompt is such a cool new company, that's like
Yeah.
so specialized with prompts in the AI space and such an organic connection for you to be working with them. Like, that's super awesome to hear.
Hmm.
One thing on Snack Prompt that I'm curious about that you may be able to answer, I don't know. Because when I saw that you got all of those people viewing your prompt, my immediate reaction was like, is he like capturing any of this? Like, did he put a link in the bio, so to speak? Is there any way that you are able to like, which I think this would be a cool feature in the future for Snack Prompt if they don't already have it, is like having a profile and then the ability to direct like to a URL outwards, because if I own a landscaping company or whatever it is, a roofing company or whatever it is, and I want to create prompts on how to like fix your roof or whatever it is, I can then put all my prompts out there. But then it's also beneficial to me because I'm going to be driving traffic to my roofing company for people that want to like work with me. If they're like,
Yeah.
this guy's really good at making roof prompts to get the job done. I wonder if I can just hire this guy to do it. Like,
Correct.
I think that
So
that'd
it's
be a really,
happening. Like this week, they're gonna launch profiles, and then they're launching a marketplace in the next couple of weeks. So
wow.
you'll be able to
Yeah.
like, I had like I think 200,000 people have used my prompts in the last week. Like think about it, I would have sold those prompts for like even $1. That's $200,000 right there. If I would have sold them for $5. I think I would have had $1 million a week. I would have had $1 million week this week.
Yeah.
So that's coming. That's coming in the next few weeks. So people will be able to like not only buy your prompt, but you can actually ask them like to follow you on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube before they get the prompt for free or something. you have like different options to for people to use your prompts. And I have some
Yeah.
creative ass prompts, bro. I got some crazy ones coming out. So
I'm
Nice.
excited.
it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
So we're coming up on about an hour here, and so I want to be conscious of your time and sort of wrap this up. But what kind of things can the world expect from you in the future? Like, what are you aside from Creator Decoded, Snack Prompt? Um, what do the next year look like for Digital Jeff?
I'm gonna be like focused on this, like what I just told you, like building media companies,
Yeah.
but also creating product. Uh, so those are two things. And then the third one is like um, I really want to get into like documentary filmmaking again. I want to get
Oh yeah.
into I want to get into acting. I want to see if I can audition for some roles. So I don't know. It's a little bit of everything that I wanted to do. Like I'm one of those. I feel like a kid all the time. I just wanted to do shit.
Yeah.
So I'll be
Are
having fun.
there
That's for sure.
are there new Doxed episodes that are going to be coming out?
So the easy answer is yes. Um, the long answer is we had shot 4 episodes as of last year, and then when the crash happened, because of like everybody got spooked to a certain extent, some of those episodes weren't released. Like I have 3 episodes that are fully shot. Talking about big production, like we spent 30-40 grand per episode,
Yeah.
fully shot, highly polished, edited, full. It's like a full documentary, each one of these,
Yeah.
and they're not. I don't have permissions to release.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing right now, because I'm getting so many inbounds from AI companies, I'm gonna rebrand the docs from like a Web3 storytelling standpoint to like a emerging tech entrepreneurs or startup founders.
Oh.
So I'm gonna start
Yeah.
featuring more founders, people that are just doing like crazy, innovative shit. Like I'm gonna feature them on the show. So it's coming. So I'm doing more. I'm gonna be doing more of that. I'm hoping to be able to do like one a month. Now that I've repositioned myself, and yeah, just kind of get into like creating like whatever comes to mind, man. Like whatever I'm excited about at the moment.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, I want to also share one thing. I was looking at my Snapchat history, and 6 years ago today, we were all actually together at the Samsung event in New
Oh,
York where Gerard
oh
was speaking.
damn.
That was 6 years ago today. So pretty
That's
cool
wild.
that the episode fell on this date, and it's been super dope talking to you and seeing you get all these results and growth, because like if anybody deserves it, it's you with all the work you've been
Yeah.
putting in and all your knowledge. So I'm actively following along and loving all
Thank
of
you
your
guys.
content you're putting out. And it's been super dope having you on our podcast, dropping a couple bombs for us.
Dropping bombs. Let's go. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It was fun. Let's do it again soon.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the flip.
Peace.
Peace.